Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this live stream. It's over a year ago since we did our last live stream together. Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you guys who are watching and to everyone who will be watching this stream when we're done. We decided to go live to talk about some of our plans for 2020, and we wanted to share these things with you. First of all, we are very happy because we have passed 4 million views on this YouTube channel. So every time we do, pass a milestone like that, we're very happy. Mm-hmm. I think the first video we ever did together, where we were speaking together, was when we passed 1 million views. And that's quite a while ago. Yeah. So the views are picking up slowly but surely. That's quite nice. Yeah. Quite nice.
It's taken on its own life.
Taken on its own life. We almost reached 30,000 subscribers. So that's very exciting as well. Last year, we were celebrating that we passed 25,000 subscribers. Yeah. Yes, with a live stream where I was singing and playing. We have also doubled the amount of people we have on our email list. Maybe you guys who are watching this know that I have been posting links to freebies. You can actually get the freebie tonight. Just click on the link in the description area below. It is becoming increasingly difficult to use social media for marketing and to keep in touch with people. So the best thing is actually to sign up to my email list. Yeah, so we are very happy whenever we see that the numbers are going up on there.
Yeah, because everybody has limited reach. We all struggle with the same issues like Facebook, Twitter. Everybody wants you to pay to reach your subscribers or followers. So email list is, the best.
It is the best because you have to pay to reach people who have already liked your page and who are already following you and who are interested in your content. So that's pretty horrible. It's like blackmailing, kind of. So we have a lot that we want to talk about today, and you guys can also ask us questions. So I can't speak right now. Ask questions. I don't really know what
maybe
it is.
because we've been sitting and speaking Norwegian for
probably
quite some time.
We have been speaking Norwegian for quite some time.
And since you didn't introduce me, for people who don't know,
yes, I actually mentioned here introduction. Introduce manager, singing teacher, video producer, mom, work together since the beginning. Yeah. So this is Elizabeth. And I make a point actually of introducing. I mean, I don't know if you know, but on the email list, when people subscribe and they sign up to it, they actually get an information email. That's the second one they get, where it actually says that we have been working together for a long time with links to the stream within, and your name is like on top of the thing. So yes, this is Elizabeth.
Yeah, so I'm her mom and her manager, vocal coach, and I also make your videos.
Yes, she's the one who's making all of the videos.
Yeah, so all the music videos. So we work together very closely.
Yes,
and especially in the whole creation of the music and recording process. Mm-hmm. It's been a very interesting journey through all the different music genres and everything. We have a couple of very exciting music videos that we will be releasing. One next week, and the other one a bit later. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today.
And for those of you who have no idea who on earth I am and why I'm wearing this funny-looking uniform, I'm the Commander-in-Chief, 7-string guitarist, singer, songwriter in classical crossover, heavy metal, and acoustic music. There you go.
And you also wrote and illustrated a best-selling children's book.
Yes, but it gets so long if you take the whole list.
It's nightmare to actually do a pitch because it becomes too long. Anyway, so we were going to talk a bit about when we had the last live stream.
Yep.
We had just released Barrett Volume 1. And I guess some people have it already, of the people who are watching. This is a very special album for us because Barrett had already recorded several EPs and albums in big studios in LA, in England, in Milan. And, we went to the biggest studios where all the stars went. We worked with big producers and all. And they were great, absolutely great experiences. We learned a lot because we, of course, were both there all the time. And, the tendency is as a vocal coach that I always end up being the vocal producer anyway. So on this album, we have a lot of different challenges. We probably talked a bit about it in the last live stream. I still want to talk about that. It's because Barrett was recovering from that parasite she had. So she had been in bed for a year and a half, almost 2 years. So when we started recording this album, she hadn't touched the guitar for 9 months and all. When she started playing guitar again, it was not Barrett playing guitar.
But it was very difficult because if you didn't I don't think you mentioned that I had a shoulder injury.
Yeah,
So it
in
was a
addition.
parasite and there was a shoulder injury, and when you then get back to playing, you have to actually make your fingers used to playing again. So that was
She had
really
baby. She was
big.
used to playing 8 hours a day, and then she had baby skin on the fingertips again. So it was, first of all, it was painful, but also we thought she had lost the touch because it just sounded like a beginner, and which was very difficult for you to accept and for us to listen to. And so when you pushed yourself, then you had the fighter spirit. You pushed yourself. Maybe only, I think we said that, so we're not going to talk a lot about that, but maybe you only did 20 minutes a day.
Yes.
But after a couple of weeks, the good old Berit was back, and so the lead guitar parts are very special for me as your manager, and also as your mom, especially as your manager, because we managed to get that good old feedback, plus added more is the sensitivity to the playing that I think you haven't had before. It comes from all the classical work you have done, probably.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't hear what I was working on before I became ill.
No.
That is unreleased.
Yeah.
So that is a bit a funny thing that, I was working for 8 months on a secret project right before I became ill. I became ill while I was working on the project. So
that was with Decca Universal.
So these people, they haven't heard, the feel in that beautiful version that we did, of one of the pieces. They haven't heard all that stuff.
No, they haven't.
You know what I mean? So we have to release that.
But it was. And I've been very happy since we then recorded this album. We had just released it when we had the last live stream. So we recorded this album ourselves because Berit has fantastic products and endorsements with PreSonus, who gave you the professional recording studio, Studio One, and Audix with the professional studio mics and everything. So we had everything set up in our home because we didn't. You didn't even have the energy to go anywhere. And it's so quiet there. It's just such a wonderful place that we used to live there. Now you can actually stay there as a holiday let. There's a link on there.
Yeah, there's a link in the description.
So where Berit lived and where Berit writes the music and where she records is a place you can go to now, and it's absolutely stunning. And it's so quiet. So we recorded all these things, but we did it at home. And we co-produced it, but you gave me the task of being in charge of that.
Well, you're the boss. Everyone knows. She is the boss. She's always the boss.
But it was quite a challenge because also you thought that the songs were ready. You were ready to move on to something else. You wanted to do the next project. And I felt
because the songs were written in secrecy and I worked on them. And then when I felt that they were done, I sent them to you. But then you had ideas. Greetings from Russia. Hi there to Russia. I keep on writing Russian now because I have people buying my music in Russia. So the last package that I sent it out before Christmas, and I know that he actually received it. He wanted me to write something. I'm not actually sure what it meant. I hope it was something nice. So I was sitting there writing, in Russian on all the different little things that I sent out.
But that's dedication. Cool. That is dedication. I mean,
it looks cool, but I'm not quite sure what I was writing. I hope it's nice stuff.
There was a question. I don't know if I'm going to reply. There was a good-looking guy who think, I wonder if it's okay to marry you if he's poor. So
we're not answering that question.
Okay. I think when it comes to choosing a life partner, there are several factors that needs to be in the picture. First of all, you need to actually love each other.
That is a good idea.
It's a good idea. We were talking about something here.
Yeah. I mean,
So the point for me when we got the reviews from this album, since we did it ourselves, and it took a lot of time because you could only do maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, at the most an hour a day. And so it was something that, and we had to create the lead guitar parts. Most of them you wrote reluctantly, and they were brilliant. She didn't want to do it, she did it, and it was beautiful, and now you're happy you did it. But when we got the great reviews, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, this is a masterpiece, this is a must-have, the reviews are really good. And for
people
me,
talking, I'm going to go and find some of the reviews.
Because no, I know them, but for me, this album, I mean, you have had so many good reviews, so much good press, but this is really will always be special for me because this was your way back after long-term illness, and we put so much heart and soul into this recording and so much pain, and see that people really like your acoustic music, really personal music, and the result is it's been very special. I really love the feedback, and album number 2 is already recorded, and in my humble opinion, I think it's maybe even better. It's really exciting. So but first we have to release the last couple of videos for the first album, and then we will come on with the second album. It's ready.
I was just going to reply to it because Joel Watkins is like, hello, have I missed much? And nope, we just got started. What we've been speaking about is that we're happy about passing 4 million views on the YouTube channel, that we have reached almost 30,000 subscribers, that we have doubled the people on our email list, that people
and we have really good,
and we have
excellent
good
reviews. No, excellent reviews for this album,
yes.
which is a very special album for us. And especially for me, when it comes to the vocal part, being your singing teacher, knowing the long road we have traveled together, because for those who don't know, I'm a professionally trained opera singer. I trained old school bel canto technique with a really great soprano in Verona, Italy. She had the same singing teacher as Maria Callas, so it's a proper good technique. Berit is trained opera singer, fantastic voice. But for her, when she did the vocals on this, and that's why we wrote on the back, there is no auto-tune or other technical means of lack of talent compensation. This is all live. Everything is live as usual.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy about how it came out and the feel that we managed to capture in the songs. And the video we're going to release next week is for the song Will You. And it's a dark horse. I always said it was a dark horse in the race when it comes to this album. It's different. It's not a typical catchy, hooky song. It's about challenging yourself, breaking barriers, daring assess. Will you go where no one dares to go as you reach towards the unknown? Too many people, they sit when they are 40, 50, 60, 70, as they get older, a lot of people say, oh, I wish I had the courage to do this. I wish I could have. They could have, but I guess nobody told them they could have. It's hard. People think it's harder than it is. I'm not saying it doesn't come with sacrifices, but as we have talked about, I've done a lot of impossible things in my life. You just have to take make the sacrifices to make it happen. This song is about that. Will you claim what's rightfully yours? Not in the sense that you're entitled to anything, because nobody is, but rightfully yours in the sense, fulfill your potential, use your talents, use your skills. Even if it's a little thing, it doesn't mean going to the moon, as we talked about. Breaking barriers could be that maybe you're the first one in your family who finished high school or goes to college or set up a small business or have kids, or build your own house or something. It's the little victories that is actually quite big for the individual that a lot of people don't see. I know people who say, I can't move to the next town because I have kids. Yes, you can. I moved to 4 different countries with 4 children. We had to learn new languages. We had to learn new school systems. You just have to be willing to do it, and you can do it, and it feels good when you're there doing it. This song, Will You, is about breaking barriers, daring to do the impossible, which is not always impossible. It's usually not impossible.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, but I'm just checking out what people are writing. And excuse me, what country is that uniform from, says Byron O'Brien. And I just answered you, the uniform is my uniform, actually.
You design it.
It doesn't belong to a country. It's actually kind of nice. I'm not going to go into great detail, but I like the fact that my uniform is just mine. It's not aligned with anything
when we started up, we lived in America. We lived in Chicago. Berit always designed. That's what she did. She did visual art. She didn't start playing guitar until she was 15. Seriously, when you were 16. So you designed a lot of collections with clothes, and that was the path you were going to take. When music came and captured your all attention, we decided that you were going to make uniforms. And since you play a 7-string guitar, we said, okay, there was no 7-string 7-star generals. You have a few 6-star generals.
You have
there is 7 stars, 1 for each string. And then we wanted to really go combine out everything. So we decided to have 7 stripes. So you have the navy, you have the marine kind of thing. And
I think that's what this is, isn't this?
That as well. And you have the 7 stars here. So it's 1 for each string on the guitar. That was the whole thing, the little gimmick. So
having some fun.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah, and I have some other epaulets that have 7 stars like that. All right, William Klimek. I'm not sure if I'm saying that
Originally
right.
from Chicago. We lived in
That's nice.
Chicago and
We
we
lived
started.
several different parts of Chicago.
Yeah, we did. And where do you record? Yeah, all Barrett's recordings up until Barrett Volume 1 was recorded in very big studios, famous studios in LA, in Wales, where Black Sabbath used to go,
and
in Milan.
in Norway.
Yeah, in Norway, really fantastic studio. Went to Norway for the
Yeah.
recording. But this one we actually recorded at home with pre-Sony Studio One, and we have got nothing but absolutely fantastic reviews for the recording. So but you have the professional equipment.
Yeah. It is possible to actually click on the link in the description area below, and you can see you can actually go and visit and stay where we recorded this album, and also Barrett Volume 2. That is, someone asked. Actually, let me see who asked about upcoming projects. Hang on 1 second. What is the next project you refer to? Says John Duckworth. And well, we refer to Barrett Volume 2.
Yeah, well, Barrett
I think
Volume
we
2.
just mentioned it slightly.
Yeah,
and that is because there are 4 albums in this series. This is album 1, and this year we will release Barrett Volume 2.
Yeah, and also one of the albums will have more of a soundtrack, a piano. You're gonna have a piano album, a pure piano album.
That's something else that has nothing to do with this series.
That's album 5.
That is secret stuff.
No, I think I would actually.
We have a lot of things
we
coming
are
up.
working on.
Sorry. Maybe he meant the project I was working on when I got sick, because I did say we were working on something when I became ill, and nobody has heard that because
I want to talk about that.
You want to talk about that?
I want to talk about
It's not in our notes. Okay, fine.
But it doesn't matter. You have to go off script. That's the most fun part. Barrett always wanted to be signed to a record label, and I was told that that's silly because it's 95% of those who are signed go bankrupt. So unless you get a good deal, you're not doing that. But hopefully you get a good deal one day. I think the record labels will come to you, I told her, because she's that special and she has so much. She has the press, she has the fans, everything. And they did. In May 2016, they came and wanted to do something with Barrett. We're very interested. I was Decca Universal in London. And it was classical crossover. They wanted to. Decca is the biggest record label, I think, when it comes to classical crossover. Yeah, and they want to do something very unique. It is guitar playing, and it's Barrett's version of very famous classical pieces that she made her own guitar versions of. Very catchy, cool guitar versions. She did 2 very big pieces, very challenging pieces. They're absolutely amazing. It is. And she had played for the chief A&R. Everything was pretty much ready. The only thing missing was playing for the CEO. And then she got the parasite, and out she was for 1.5 years. So, of course, that didn't happen. We have the recording. We have it's there. We are going to do the arrangement again in a different way. We're going to do that, with somebody else. And then we're going to release that. It is absolutely mesmerizing how beautiful it is. Catchy, beautiful. Yeah, it's and there is actually a live video out there from when you performed Toccata for the guy at Decca.
Yeah, I just put what's it called again? A link right now in the chat to the rehearsal video from I was doing Toccata and Fugue. Fugue, so it is possible to actually listen to the rehearsal tapes.
Okay, so he's like, do you like firearms? You might have seen that Barrett has a lifestyle channel where we have videos from her doing clay, what do you call it?
Clay pigeon shooting.
Yeah, clay pigeon shooting.
Yeah.
We have the Olympic team coach in shooting has one of the biggest and best shooting schools just down the street from where we used to live, and it's still only 15 minutes from here. Mm-hmm. So Barrett has gone there sometimes, and you hit.
I'm a good shot, actually. I can see myself get addicted to that because it's like guitar playing. I walked into the shop and I saw all these shotguns. I'm thinking, oh, what a nice place. So it's a nice thing to do. I can absolutely see myself doing that more, but it's quite a hobby to have, especially in this country. Yes.
You have comments on this one?
Okay, 7 stars also in the 7 churches in Revelation. Wow, Norway, my favorite team's manager is from Norway. Thanks.
Oh, is that Manchester United you're talking about, or
What's your favorite firearm? Mine is the Thompson submachine. I wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm not that. I mean, first of all, you have to remember I live in the UK, and there are serious restrictions on what you're allowed to shoot and what you can even try out here. You know, if you would like to go into the private industry, you know, and be like a mercenary or a proper soldier, I think in a lot of cases you actually have to go and train abroad. So it is that stricter that even for professional people, it is a bit of a problem.
It's not like when we lived in America, you could just go into a gun shack or whatever it was called, and you could just buy yourself a gun, well, with some background checks. But no, here it's different.
Here is very different, and also, you know, I don't know everything about that kind of stuff. You live in Britain. Oh, okay, all right. Well, maybe you're one of the lucky few ones who have everything then.
Okay, so but yeah, so we talked about that. There's a new video coming next week. We're excited.
Yes,
about
we're
that.
excited. That is why one of the reasons we're going to go online to talk about the upcoming video.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it was actually quite interesting because we have a lot of the videos have been shot at the property that, you know, our other home that is now this holiday rental. Because that's a manor house. We have an apartment, you know, lakeside in a manor house from the 16th century, and the grounds are very big and beautiful, and that's why we shoot a lot of music videos. We have, you know, we can use it for free because we have an apartment there. But when we did Will You, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to do something that showed that you actually, you know, you're looking upwards and outwards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very windy day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went up on this hill and we found this very old wooden fence that was very wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
And Bear said, I want to climb on top there, long dress and everything. So it was not very easy. So you're climbing up on top of this wooden fence, which is, you know, how they were built. They were not with the nails or anything. They just lay there kind of in between the other wooden things. So it's very wobbly. So she's standing on top there and have to hold because you almost fall. And then the wind is really strong. So you can see everything is just, you know, moving around her. But the effect was cool. But it was quite a challenge to shoot that video.
Yes, okay, I'm just gonna say some, you know, hello to people. So we have a guy called, you know, I'm probably gonna pronounce things funny, a guy named Tassilo Sauer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but her is Germany, Berlin. I don't know, maybe he lives in Germany, Berlin. Well, hello to you. And William Klimek is saying, I never cared much for metal blues guy here until I heard Berit play. That's cool.
Oh,
you know, we've heard so many people say that they don't like metal music, but then they heard my music and they like it. So it's interesting to have that
it's
crossover
catchy
type of
metal.
appeal.
It's catchy metal. I saw a headline. I haven't read it, but one of the metal sites. I do still follow Metal News because that was where she started, and we are working. We have a couple of albums to record with unreleased music, unrecorded music, but we also have a project that we are planning in great secrecy. So I am not going to say it, but it will involve live performances and many of the genres that Berit has recorded in the same concert.
We are planning on doing that this year.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
If you have the energy and all.
I've started exercising and stuff again.
You're starting to look. So her brother has this weightlifter rack, you know, the whole thing, just the bar is 20 kilos. And this one plans to start doing the whole lifting thing. So yeah.
I feel funny, you know, it's not, I feel like it's not a very feminine thing to do, but I feel like I have to because of the guitar playing. So I'm learning how to squat properly. And for those of you who lift weights, you probably know that you have to, you know, the form is very important. And I feel really funny because, you know, obviously I don't want to get injured. So I am practicing how to essentially just sit down and do the motion right and squat correctly. I feel really funny doing it. But, you know, you have to do that before you can actually do the proper lifting so that you don't do something silly.
Do you prefer
the classical or the metal music you've done? Gary, I'm not really sure because they're very different. You know, the metal music is original music, so I get loads and loads of ideas of how I want the videos to be and how I want everything to be, essentially, because I kind of see the music when I write the music. So I'm very sort of emotionally invested. I want things to be in a very specific way. With the classical music, I'm playing other people's music, and it is more almost, I would say, is that
you're like the messenger that you have to interpret other people's music.
Yeah, but it's also very much like, you know, okay, how should I say this? It is physically very demanding, but mentally it's also very demanding. But it's not like, you know, when you write and you create your own stuff, it is a very, very different thing. So I really like doing the classical music because it's It is challenging technically, but it's also a very relaxing thing. That was what I was looking for. I was looking for the word therapeutical, but I don't
Because
think that's
it's already
appropriate.
written. So
No, it's a bit like working on a puzzle and
Yeah.
working on something where you're doing an activity, you're tinkering around, but it is still almost like you're meditating kind of. If that makes any sense, but the metal music is very like because you are in the creative process and building something from the bottom up. So,
but you also really like the acoustic music you're working on. And lo and behold, she loves playing piano and she's getting really good at it.
That has become my latest fixation. I play more and more piano now than I play the guitar. So that's always like, ooh.
No, it's good. She's doing all the difficult stuff on guitar.
I'm still doing the guitar stuff, but no, it's fun to play the piano. I really like it. But I think one of the things I like about the piano is also sort of the layout of the instrument itself. So, weird technical things. Are you going to show the?
Well,
photo?
they were. Somebody was asking. No, Berit and I are from Norway. We moved away from Norway when you were 6 years old, but we always spoke Norwegian at home. So that's why she speaks a lot of languages. But this is from this video. Let's see, where Berit was climbing up on this very wobbly fence, and see here. Oh. So she's standing on top of. You don't see how high up the fence is. She's standing on top there, and there's a lot of wind, and she's trying to sing and look totally relaxed. And the setting, and you have the beautiful Cotswolds nature in the background. It was quite fun because it was a physical challenge as well to stand up there in this weather and all. But that's fun. Yeah.
Okay, what else do we have on our list? I mean, we were gonna tease about your book.
Will there be any more classical music hobbies in the futures? Yes. And that's what she worked on with the Decca Universal, and we have those 2 recordings. And one is Toccata, and Bear's version has some parts she has written, of course, because like you did with Paranoid and Immigrant Song, she always has to make her own version. And some people will love that she actually added her own thing. Others will say that, this is blasphemy because you changed something in Toccata. But she did, and it's awesome. And the other one is, we're not saying. A lot of guitarists have made versions or have played or tried to play the other one.
But that has become like a new thing that people try to do.
Yeah, so. but you have a version that is all yours.
Yeah. Yes. I get kind of a bit lost in my own notes. But did you say
who is that in your picture? Looks like a World War II veteran. Which picture is that?
I think that they are talking among themselves, so it's not necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. Classic Sound of Music pose. Yeah.
Okay, who is your favorite music band? Mine is Coldplay. I listen a lot to soundtracks. I don't really listen that much to rock and metal anymore. I listen a lot to movie soundtracks, and I really like the soundtrack to Westworld, and of course I have already in the past mentioned Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman. I think they're really brilliant.
Oh yeah.
But now it's Ramin Djawadi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's really good music. So yes, did we mention?
You have some questions here, Berit. People want you to.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to see if I actually missed out on something. We're going to keep on going.
Somebody from Brazil joined us, so that's nice. Hello.
Okay.
It's funny. We were talking about it the other day that it's been almost 25 years since we moved away from Norway, and we lived in Italy for years, in France, 3 different states in America. We have been here in England now for many years. And of course, it's been a lot of people who have asked, what's your accent? Where are you from? And nobody has ever guessed Norway. It's been Sweden, it's been Denmark, mostly France, Dutch, anything but Norwegian. So yeah, I guess Norway is still one of those little countries that most people don't even know are Norwegian. They think we are a city in Sweden still, I don't know.
I'm just going to reply to Joel Watkins, who said that.
Oh, he's been with you for a long time.
Yeah, I know. Hi,
Hi, Joe.
I have seen you on Facebook, and I have replied to your messages. Didn't realize there was so much detail in the uniform. Yes, take it. There's 7 of something on your hat as well. Yes, that's correct. That's
7 stars.
7 stars. So,
but also because Berit comes from a military family. You grew up with a dad who had been a fighter pilot. And all her grandparents or great-grandparents had been in the resistance during the war. There was a lot of people. And it's mandatory. Military was mandatory in Norway. So, every male in the family had been in the military. And it's always been that component. It's always been some military people involved in the family.
Yeah, I mean, it's you just said it's mandatory, so
Yeah,
everyone.
And
kind
now
of does it.
my husband, he comes from a family of nothing but military officers as well. So yeah.
I read somewhere in an interesting book written. Well, anyway, I read in an interesting book that fewer and fewer people encounter veterans and have anything to do with the military at all.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird to think about? That is weird to think about.
Yes, it is.
Do you prefer guitars with 6 or with more than 6 strings? I haven't played a 6-string guitar in years now. In 2000,
10 years.
Yeah, in 2009 I started experimenting with different types of guitars, and that's when I started playing a 7-string.
Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't play a 6-string.
No, you don't go back, because obviously you take your music and you then rewrite it and rearrange it.
Yeah.
So and the same thing in the classic. It has been so good for me to have a 7-string guitar when doing violin music, because it gives you that extra string, so you can then just kind of go downwards on some of the runs that you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's so you have to get used to the thicker neck and things like that, but it has some good things to it, that some benefits actually, if you're going to do the crazy
stuff.
And
even your acoustic guitar is a 7-string.
Yeah, the acoustic guitar is a 7-string, and I did a charity concert in December last year, and I got loads of great feedback on the sound and the tone of the guitar.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the concert that your brother and I helped you with?
Yeah, the one that you were on. Remember that one?
We did a charity concert.
Yes. I know.
Yeah, it's funny. Let's see.
I'm not a bloody Yankee. Okay.
That's funny.
New video, woohoo! Yes. You don't sound English. No, I'm not English. Do you prefer the classical and metal music? Yes. Being in Texas, I have a few, but I still have more guitars than guns. Notice me, senpai, says Neder Mendez. Hi there. Byron, they are from Norway, but they live in the UK.
Yeah, we live in, I think it's as English as it can be, or as Hammond says on the Grand Tour, it's almost Wales. We are in the Cotswolds, so it's very, very English. It's almost like Midsummer Murders or Morse Lewis. It is those rolling green hills and
we really like
beautiful little villages and all. So we went from living in Chicago with millions and millions of people on the 36th floor in a big, on the top floor there looking at the lake, and to now being in the countryside, and outside our windows we have sheep and cows, and we love it. And we grow our own vegetables, so yeah.
Yeah. We've even been at the village fair.
Oh,
like the
that's
show.
Stretching it a bit far. If you village fairs, those of you who are from the UK know about those weird dancers. What do you call them?
I can't remember.
Yeah, all these
I posted the video.
Old men dancing weird things that are hundreds of years old. And,
it's cool. It's tradition. It's
you have some weird things here.
Trying to learn. What the country is about and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yes. So here a guy says Beto, hellos from the middle of the world, Ecuador.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I have a lot of fans and followers from Latin America. That's true. No, they are sisters. That's cute. Even if the Germans invaded again, or the French. Yeah, that's good. Patriotism.
Wait. Where was he from?
Well, this is the guy who was asking about the uniform.
Yeah. And because our country was actually invaded by the Germans, so that's
Cool.
I think.
Okay, any plans to tour, and if so, would you have session musicians helping, or would you play to a track? I don't know. It's nice to play to a track, but you don't have to pay people.
No, you don't like to deal with musicians.
And then you don't have to deal with all kinds of stuff.
Somebody mentioned Solskjaer,
Yes,
it's unfortunate that things haven't gone so well for him, because I really like him. That's my team as well. My husband is Liverpool. He's very British, and he's Liverpool, and I'm Man U, so you can imagine the discussions we have.
Your mom is always beautiful, says Iceman67.
Thank you.
Except acoustic, right? Know how you play. Thank you.
Frank really like Porno Cabeza. I love Porno Cabeza, and it was pure hell to shoot the video. It was so cold that night up on the top of that ski jumping hill, but I loved the result, but it was a very cold experience.
I didn't know that your fingers actually get so cold that they stop working.
That's what happened.
Now I know. Very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But we put some stuff in here.
Yeah, but first you need to reply to the question.
Yes. Okay, talk about your musical influence. Where do we start?
Well, you grew up force-fed listening to the good old music from the 70s and classical music.
Yes.
And 60s. So you were raised on the good bands, the good rock bands,
Yes.
and classical music.
And then I personally was a big fan of pop music, especially European dance music from the 90s, Euro dance.
And really weird old French music and stuff. I don't
all
know.
kinds of, it's cool because, my daddy had loads of different CDs from all over the world because, he was traveling. So he would always buy some weird stuff. So going through the CD collection of the two of you guys was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We would always find loads of different things. And then I think the first rock band I was into, like sort of modern rock band, was Offspring or The Offspring. I remember I was a huge fan.
Oh yeah.
And that was, I think, when I was like 10 or something. I wanted to play drums in a rock band. And then, I started listening more to rock music, but then I ended up listening to extreme metal, especially Norwegian black metal.
You fell into that Dimmu Borgir pit.
Yeah, into the whole satanic metal thing. And that, ironically enough, happened when I lived in the States, because I remember I had then stayed in Norway for a while. I left, and I remember thinking, we don't even have a metal scene in Norway. No, I didn't know. I knew we had Satanists and I knew we had church burners. I didn't know that they were musicians, because, the way that these people were covered by the mainstream media, you would have, church burner, a huge, gigantic, headline, and then a tiny little information box at the bottom of the page. They have a side project playing in a band. So it's like, okay, full-time church burner, full-time Satanist, part-time musician. So that was how
the image. That was the image.
That was how the whole
metal
thing was being portrayed. So every time someone got in prison or whatever, then you would hear about these weird Norwegians with awkward names and stuff, and you don't really get that, oh, there's actually music behind this. So when I realized that these guys were like metalheads making music, I'm like, what? We have a metal scene in Norway? I had no idea. So of course, I had to check out all of this music written by Norwegians. And a lot of it is really
you're saying this now, and it makes me remember when we lived in Chicago. We used to go to Borders,
yes,
a bookstore, and they had some music there and DVDs. And we would look at the music magazines, and of course they had Metal Hammer UK, which is the biggest, apart from Revolver magazine. And I remember Bear saying we just started on this project together. We hadn't made a uniform yet or anything, because that happened in LA, it hadn't been made yet. And she stops and she picks up a Metal Hammer UK, and she says, if I ever see myself in this magazine or any magazine like this, I will die. I will just faint and die. And I remember I said to her, give it 3 years, Berit. And 3 years and 3 months later, she had a full page in Metal Hammer UK. And that was one of those moments. That was the first printed press. You had a lot of, I cannot thank enough, the small and medium-sized radios and websites, the designs, is that what they call them?
Zines. I can't remember.
The ones that were writing about you the first years. And they were some of them are still our friends, and those who still exist. But then that we got that Metal Hammer UK, and it was just glowing, and it was just, wow, that was quite a feeling.
We have that one hanging over.
We have it framed. It's framed on the wall.
Yeah, one of those magical milestones. Okay, I want to say thank you to Peter Lewis. You say you are playing.
Is he gigging tonight?
You are playing. Wait. Peter Lewis says, just playing Great Expectations on NCCR in the Cooler. Thank you so much for your support. It was great to be on your show. And Peter Lewis has also said that he wants to come and do an interview.
It's Peter Lewis. That's the one I met up in Shipping Canyon.
Yes.
Hi, Peter.
Here's a guy called Brad. He says, hi from LA, Orange County, California. I want to know if you're interested in licensing a song for documentary. You're a brilliant musician and artist.
That would be very interesting.
Of course, we want to license the music. That makes me really excited. We have already had some. Zigeunerweisen has been featured in a documentary that was released over in Spain, Spanish documentary about Sarasate.
Yeah. We discovered that was so nice in 2016. Zigeunerweisen was featured in a movie, and that's really good. And also, by the way, we lived in California for a year. We lived up in outside Valencia. We just in Santa Clarita. We really loved it. It was beautiful. I loved the weather.
Yeah,
but it was beautiful. So much talent in California. So much talent. Absolutely. And so, you can just contact us. We weren't really invaders as such as the Blitz killed a lot of Southerners. Well, our country was Norway. We had a really fierce king who said hell no. And then we had Quisling, the traitor, and who was collaborating with the Nazis, a little bit of Norwegian history. It's a very famous expression still, even though it's many years ago, many decades, that if you're a Quisling, you are the traitor. And I'm very proud of the fact that my country what do you say, activated, they reinstated the death penalty, especially for him, so they could just execute him for the treason, which is because he collaborated with the Nazis. I grew up always hearing about the war because my parents were born in 1938 and 1939. So when they were kids, their whole childhood, when they were very young kids, they were invaded. And my grandparents, my mom's parents, they had a very big farm, and the Nazis came and they just took most of the food all the time. So they had very little of everything. So, they got oranges once a year for Christmas and one piece of chocolate for Christmas once a year. And they had to make bread from the bark of trees because the Nazis took everything that they were growing on the farm. So it was, I heard so many stories. So yeah, I know a lot about World War II and how it was for the countries that were invaded. And I remember being in a hospital in Germany when I was in my 20s, and all the Germans were talking about how nice it had been to be in Norway because they were so popular there. And it was very hard for me to be quiet because I have German relatives now. I no problems with that. But when you look back at what happened, they were certainly not welcome. I can say that.
I think it's the whole act of being invaded and people taking your things and taking your food and taking your resources.
And also, it was only back in 1905 that Norway became independent again, because we had first been invaded by Denmark, and we loved the Danish anyway. They took all our
that's probably propaganda.
But then they gave us to Sweden, after the Napoleon War, and so we were ready to go to war in 1905 to become independent from Sweden. And luckily, there was no bloodshed. I grew up on the border, so I always felt that I was very Norwegian, but I knew Sweden very well and could speak Swedish and all. But
you know that the Danes, apparently what they did is that they got rid of the establishments. So they had their people, so that might be why we think that we love Denmark.
No, but we do. Now we do. We love Denmark. We do love Denmark. But no. So historically speaking, I know we live here, and as I said, my husband, his grandfather was one of those great generals, one of the great generals during World War II and World War I, and that's the British military and the British history, which is we are closely allied, but it's different. We were invaded, and luckily you were not, but you had a lot of losses here as well. That was the comment. This is about music, but we are all very interested in history in this family.
Okay, this is cool. Okay, so you must come into NCCR studio again soon. Yeah, of course. That would be very nice. But you're originally, you're Americans or something else. So we are we are Norwegian, sorry. And
this family,
we've just been traveling and moving a lot, but we are Norwegian.
Berit is 100% Norwegian. Berit is the oldest of 4 siblings. Yes. Her youngest brother was born in America, in Chicago, so he is natural born American citizen and Norwegian. So he is both. And my husband that I married just 3 years ago is very English.
He is super English.
But he's also half French, but don't tell anyone. So we are a very international family. Yeah, but we are 100% Norwegians. But it's a lot of English.
We are Vikings essentially. We're traveling around the world. That's the thing. And now we're in the countryside in England, growing vegetables. So it's like a stereotype of Scandinavians.
Let's go now, Peter Lewis. Bye, and have a nice evening. We speak to you soon. Bloody French, I hate them.
Hi, I love you and your music. Yeah, speaking about the things you said about Germany, I have a lot of fans in Germany.
Yeah, but I said we had German. We were considering moving to Germany. We stayed there for months. And I love Germany. You love German food.
Yeah, I do. But this is Europe, and there's been loads of wars in Europe. So, of course, you can't talk about European history without bringing up all of these things.
Oh, no, I love European history. It's so... I think what people sometimes fail to see is that when you move to different European countries like we did, when we lived in Norway, of course, we were absolutely convinced that no country in the world is as good as Norway. Everybody who lives in Norway are convinced nobody has better schools, healthcare, food, whatever. You move out and you find out that, the schools are really more rubbish than anyone thought. And in Italy, everybody are convinced that they have the greatest country and the best food and the best schools, and they have the best of everything. And then you move to France and they are convinced they have it, and the same in America, where they are convinced everything is better and bigger there. And then we come here to England. I don't know if they have that same kind of pride anymore. Maybe they have lost some of it, but they also still feel this is the greatest country.
I think it's very divided. So
we coexist and we are neighbors. We have to acknowledge that we are actually different. Each country has in the sense that each one has their own history. There has been a lot of wars, a lot of achievements, great people, inventors, explorers, and all. And I think we should be allowed to be proud of that. I love each of the European countries and each of the people I meet, but everybody's different. I think that's what makes us exciting.
Yes, it's boring if it gets streamlined.
Yeah.
When we traveled through Europe this year, I couldn't help but notice that there is this sense of things becoming increasingly streamlined. Oops.
Oh, the African star, Byron O'Brien. That's so exciting. He was in Africa. So my husband, he was his grandfather was in charge of the what do you call them again? The Gurkhas, the ones with the scary knives. So he was in Africa as well. He was in Africa for a long time. So we could probably talk military history for a long time. I contact you about licensing. Funny, yeah. I hate the French. Well, we love French food, don't we? Fishing. I love fishing. Fishing is so cool.
I think that there were some people who said, "Hey, have you heard about the band called Children of Bodom?" Yeah, I actually saw them live. Children of Bodom is one of those few bands where I think they're better live than on the recording. Actually, usually I personally
Where did you see them live? Did I see them
in Chicago? No, I saw them alone with a friend. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, they're really good live, and they're one of those live bands where you just kind of feel like you don't get the same energy on an album. That's how I feel. So I really used to love the Children of Bodom live album. I think that there's 2 discs or something. I mean, there's a live album with Children of Bodom, and I used to listen to that quite a lot. It's cool. I really like it.
You just said that the live is better than the studio. Remember the talk we had last week when you said that it's always better with a studio recording?
Yeah, I prefer studio recordings, but that's why I'm saying I think they're the only band I personally can think of where I would actually say that I think the live recording is 10 times cooler than the studio recording.
I know another artist who's just as good live as on recordings.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just a personal preference, but Paganini Caprice 24, love the finger play. Thank you. Cool. Well, thank you. I'm working on Paganini again now.
I wish that I had pushed harder in the studio to have a better tone on your guitar in Paganini.
I don't know what happened to the amplifier.
No, because in all the other songs, in Sigeunerweisen and Introduction Rondo, the tone is so smooth. And it's not only because you play it differently.
I think also I was a bit tense.
But it's not only that. There was things that could have been done in the studio with the tone.
Yeah, I know
and
that.
I had discussions with the producer, and seeing the only negative feedback ever for that recording and video is the tone. And I agree. I didn't like the tone. And I know that the couple of times in studios where I had to just shut up because, everybody disagreed with me. Afterwards, so I should have pushed. That's why I'm the producer now. Well, so we get it right.
Okay. Eurodance, yeah.
Canada, hey Canada.
I like Borders, but they closed many stores.
I used to love to go to Borders and just sit there and look at books and
I love when you perform that. I love your voice in that song. Thank you. It's really cool to play that one live. That's a lot of fun. It is fun. Yeah. How is your 7-string tuned? It's just standard tuning. I've always just used standard tuning. When I started playing guitar, it was pretty popular to play in drop. So you could just play with one finger. And I remember thinking that was kind of counterproductive because you want to try to push yourself so you can exploit whatever talents you have. So I didn't really bother doing drop tuning. I've always just played standard tuning.
Berit always wanted to have it very simple, while other guitar players would come with a whole pedal board with everything. She would reluctantly have one pedal. You just wanted everything to be very stripped down.
Wilhelm, he says, "You is cool. I like your music. Thanks for your music." Thanks. Thank you so much. Hej från Sverige. Du är grymt bäst. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
No, grymt bäst. Hey from Sverige. It's so many years since I spoke Swedish. You are grymt bäst. I know what that means. You're the best.
Cool. Maria Ekman. Yeah. It's so nice when I can speak Norwegian. I know it's Swedish. You can actually speak Norwegian.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. My great-granddad once pulled a German Luger P08 on a family argument in a quarrel and got it taken of him. It was loaded as well. See, that's old school Europe. That's how we do things.
But it's interesting. I was thinking about that. We have been talking about that when I grew up in Norway. Everybody was in the what you call it? Heimevernet. It's not the official military. It's the home National Guard. It's the National Guard. So my dad had an AG3 standing in the corner of the living room. and he showed those kids how to take it apart, put it back together again. And everybody I knew had rifles and went hunting or guns in the house, and nobody ever shot anyone. So have people become increasingly stupid, or is it just the fact that I don't know, this whole thing about it's so dangerous? We're not going to go into that whole discussion, but I grew up with that all around me, and nobody ever shot anyone. It was an excellent way to handle neighbor quarrels between farmers and other people in Norway back in the days. They went hunting together, and oops, they had an accident. It's a joke.
Northerners have dark humor.
It's very dark humor.
Very
Goes with the metal music.
Fifth, Caprese Paganini. With the bells. Låt perfect. My daughter, 12, play with me.
That's nice.
That's nice. That's
cute. Nice.
How do you get that awesome clean guitar tone? Do you use any special effects pedals? I use delay. That's about it.
It's the fingers.
It's the fingers, because now I'm not even using an. If you're asking about the tone on my latest album and on my latest material, but also what I was working on before I got ill, the truth is that now I'm using even less because before I used to have the guitar and then the delay pedal, the amplifier, and the delay pedal. Now I just plug my guitar into the PreSonus Fire Studio box, essentially.
It's the tone of the guitar and your fingers.
It is the tone of the guitar and the EMG pickups, and also now I really can hear the strings as well. It's like all of it is affecting. It's like micro effects, you know what I mean? But the second that you turn off the distortion, you will hear everything. There's nothing to hide behind, and you will start hearing all sorts of details. So you have the dynamics in the fingers, the feel in the fingers, and then you have how the guitar is interacting then with. I don't know, I just plug it in. Essentially, I plug it into PreSonus and have it in Studio One. I don't put any amplifiers on. It's just some delay. And that's all.
I mean, the guitar it's been so many years and so many hours of playing the guitar is an extension of your body. It's really part of you.
Yeah. So but, I'm a minimalist, when it comes to anything that has to do with music, actually, And
also with the vocal things that, we just have very good mics and do everything live.
Mm-hmm.
And never used auto-tune for
I do like reverb, which people will hear if they listen to. I do like it, and I mean, I remember I was a huge fan of Rick Rubin because he worked with a lot of the bands that I really like. But he has a very sort of dry sound. At a certain point, it became very trendy to just take all reverb and things like that off. So personally, as a singer, I like to have reverb on when I'm singing because I just feel like I can just kind of give more and play more with the harmonies in my voice. So I feel like it's enhancing it. And I also think it's nice to listen to. It gives it a bit of an old school type of a touch, but I personally, sound-wise, prefer that. So,
but we don't really care about what the trend is when it comes to sounds. We just do what we think is beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
We've
always been like that.
We've always been when it comes to the image, when it comes to, and then we figured out that you were doing the blue and orange way before anyone else, and then 2 years ago that was the big thing.
Yeah, all of a sudden that became trendy.
And you had military outfit, and then all of a sudden all the female artists started to have military jackets and all that.
I see. So there are loads of underground female metal bands and stuff now. That's becoming, almost like a standard. It's like,
but I mean, we did all that. We never really cared what was the trend. We just do what we like, and musically speaking as well, we just do what we go with. I mean, Berit has so many ideas for songs. It's a never-ending source. You never have to struggle to write a song because the music comes to you. And that's the big difference. I mean, having been an opera singer and all, I'm very creative, but I don't have the gift Berit has that she can the music comes to her. And she almost sees the music as pictures and she just writes it, she just plays it.
Okay, before I get distracted, how was the experience with EMG TV? Can we talk about it? I like all your songs in the EMG TV, they are awesome.
Yeah, talk about how that whole experience was.
That was great. That was just so cool. I was going over to the States because I was going to do some videos for Guitar World, and then I thought to myself that, hey, since I am in the neighborhood, since I am in America, and I mean I was in New York, I was like, hey, EMG, I should come and hang out over in California. So that's like that's like Americans going to Europe and thinking that they can just walk through the continent.
Italy, let me go to Norway and have tea.
Me going to America thinking, well, I'm in New York, I might as well go to California. It's just around the corner.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I told them I was coming over, and then I went over to EMG TV. It was cool. I was picked up on the airport by a driver of course, I'm a bit absent-minded, so I was walking around looking for the A&R guy, thinking he was going to be the one who picked me up or whatever, and then the driver was walking around looking for me. So I was really delayed because, we were both kind of walking around on the tiny little airport looking for one another. It was so embarrassing. But I got a really nice car. I got a nice driver. I went over to EMG essentially. I hung out with them. They had a really great A&R. I think maybe he's still around there. Tommy, really, really awesome A&R guy. It was a really cool experience. I mean, it was an experience because I went and I did the EMG TV thing. Really cool team, really cool people. And it was, it was a bit strange for me to stand on that stage by myself, then have all these cameras and everything, because it's like, you are performing live, but then on the other hand, it's like you're in a TV studio, but then you're not because you're at EMG TV.
And also the thing that you were such a big fan of EMG TV. So that was another one that, it's one of those surreal things that it's just like when you did the biggest talk show in Norway the first time, and the things that you have been a fan of, and you have seen it, and all of a sudden you are there doing it.
It's really weird because, when you do these things, like doing TV in Norway, I mean, the funny thing is that when you get to these sort of locations and stuff, I mean, this is someone's job, if you see my point, so they always get to see the team and how they're talking, and they're going about things, because this is what they do every day. So when I was over at EMG TV and I was dealing with those people, I remember we had lunch and stuff, and they would be talking about all the ins and outs of what they're doing essentially. And it's the same thing if you go when we went over to Metal Hammer to do the photo shoot. It was really weird to walk through the building because it's an office landscape essentially. It's an office landscape with all of these different publications and people sitting there working at a desk. You know what I mean? So you have all of these ideas in your head because it's like you're reading a magazine or watching EMG TV, and it's like, whoa, and then you realize that, well, it's a job. People have their routines and the in and out and things that are happening. So it was cool.
But also another thing is that when those opportunities come, it's important to be on that train, because if you're not on that train, somebody else will be on that train, and it's not coming back necessarily for you. Probably it will not, because for them it's a job, and if you can't do it, they have somebody else on the list they can ask, and they might never ask you again. Now, I think what's been the most amazing thing, we have been in Norway many times to do all the big TV shows, and you are a judge on the biggest TV show there when they have 10 artists that are stars competing to be the ultimate star.
Yeah.
It's the magnitude of these productions. It's cool. Easily 40, really 50 cool. people involved in one production. Yes. And that's why it looks so smooth, everything. But you have all these people doing light and sound and props and everything, and hair and makeup. And it's a big
the amount
thing.
of people actually get employed to do these
but
things,
the amount of people to get just something that seems simple
on TV,
to make it look so simple, it's a lot of work behind it, and that's really impressive every time.
It is really impressive, but it's cool, to get the sort of insight of, as a fan, essentially, because I am a fan of showbiz, obviously, so it's cool to get a sort of look behind the scenes of what's really happening. So I did the EMG TV thing. It was a lot of fun, and then hang on a second, and then they also gave me a tour of their factory and of their offices and things. So yeah, it was really, really nice. I took loads of pictures. I mean, I was hopeless. I was taking pictures all the time.
Somebody wants you to make a metal version of Nessun Dorma. That would be really hard for me to accept, because
Nessun Dorma.
No. I love Nessun Dorma. You can't do that to it. Maybe that's something. Her brother has fantastic voice. If you have heard White Christmas with them from the concert in December, he is a very good baritone. He could do something good.
I'm just going to say one thing, that there's a guy called Ren Zenith who says, I need that album. And yes, there is a link. Of course, I forgot to say this, but there is a link in the description area below where you can just go and click on there. We don't have that many CDs left.
No, we're going to have more. We're going to make more. Okay, you go to commandermusic.com. That's its official website. If you buy it there, you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it everywhere. But if you buy this on her website, then you get it signed, and you can even get a personal message.
Yeah.
So we almost sold out this batch, but we will have more made. We have some now.
We also have some cool.
I have a lot of mics. Which mics do you prefer? Berit is endorsing Audix. She's been in the catalog for years. She loves Audix. Fantastic mics. Nothing else to say about that.
Berit and Berit's mom. Who should play you guys in a movie about your lives?
I will answer that question. Thank you for who asked.
Snit Git. I can't.
So
I don't know.
I'm actually writing a book about my life. I've written 81,000 words so far. It's getting me. My life has been very, very, very different than people think, and I've done the impossible a lot of time. To put it, I don't want to say too much, but I had what you can call, without any hesitation, a childhood in hell. I had so much hell as a child. I experienced things that no child should ever experience. And it's not yet another story of anyone who was physically or sexually abused, because it wasn't that. But there are many kinds of abuse, and there is many kinds of horrors as kids can be exposed to. I had an alcoholic stepfather, and anyone who has ever grown up with one or two parents or step-parents who are alcoholics, and I talk really bad alcoholics with a whole rage and fury and fear and throwing things, and knows that that is something a child should never experience. I had a lot of other things in addition to that. So I had a lot of odds against me, but I was really smart in school, and I had this drive to do something. I knew I had to get out of it, that I wasn't meant to be stuck in this hellhole that I was as a kid. I'm writing a book about that, and I've had some really, really big tragedies happening, and illnesses and everything. And as you said, I never had the typical network helping me to do anything. I walked out from home when I was 18. I got my mom's old TV and old fridge. That's all I got with me. I have studied economics on a very high level, served on boards of directors, moved to Italy, learned to sing opera, lived in many countries, many kids, traveled the world, and it's been very tough, because at times I've been seriously ill. I live with chronic health problems, but I'm just doing it. And that's why I'm writing this book. And my goal was always that if I ever had children, I should do everything completely different, opposite of what was done to me as a child. And that's very hard. That's very hard. This is something that I care deeply about, because we will, by default, raise our kids the way we were raised, because that's the way we are programmed. That's what's in our whole thing. That's our whole references when it comes to how we should behave as parents, our parents. So be able to actually put yourself in a situation where you say, this was done to me, this was my mom, I have to do everything opposite, and be conscious about it and be able to do it. It's a very tough and difficult thing. I did that, and it came more natural for me because I'm a very loving, caring person. And when we were sitting in that TV studio when you did the first time when you did the big TV show, and I'm sitting there, it's very powerful. I mean, people have told me since I was 20 I have to write a book, and it's been a lot happening since then. But I was sitting there in the TV studio, and it's many years ago now, 7-8 years ago something, and I'm seeing Berit, and she's sitting there on stage with the host, and it's almost 1 million viewers, and next to her is another guest who's a big, big star that I've been a fan of for decades. And everybody's looking at Berit. She's the center of attention, but she's beaming with happiness. And that's when I knew it hit me really hard that this was my long journey in life. It's not the moving to America, moving to Italy, moving here, doing this, having this, being on stage, singing this and this opera. It's the distance it takes. It's the long distance from being that little kid who's curled up, terrified in bed, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, or having that monster standing over you, threatening you, screaming at you, telling you you're nothing but a little shit, and just destroying you completely. And going from there to seeing your child, knowing that they never had to experience it, that they had a happy childhood and they're confident and they're sitting there on stage and being happy. That is the big journey. And it takes something to do it, but you can do it. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. But these are things that I really care about, because too many people experience horrible things, and they kind of feel trapped in it, but there is a way out of it.
I watched your progress for maybe 5 to 6 years when you still did some stuff with Berkeley Music School.
Or that Smith is Steve Smith, I think, maybe. Or no.
Or something. That's funny. I've never had anything to do with any official music institution, to be completely honest. I did Metal Hammer Guitar Week in many years ago.
Let's see. I wonder how was the experience making the video of the song Evolution. Now, so there will be a book to the one who said this about the movie. There will be a book, and I will also write a book. I'm working on that when it comes to how we did all this, just the two of us using social media and all, and getting all the press and everything. But it all ties in together from my background, being able to do this, because you're not supposed to be able to do that.
I've actually finished a book about some of my experiences in the
Okay.
music industry.
Jussi
We're going to
Björling
release
did
that one.
do that one.
We're going
I
to
think.
release this one this year.
No, I agree. Jussi Björling, Pavarotti for me is the greatest I have ever experienced, but Jussi Björling absolutely up, maybe even better than Pavarotti.
I wonder how was the experience making the video of the song Evolution with your brother. Also, I wonder if Evolution is a roast you make of science. No, it is not a roast of science. It's about when it crosses over and things become unethical and you get abuse in the name of science. So it is specifically about lobotomy and neurosurgery and people essentially becoming ruined.
But it's
as
the
a
abuse.
result.
It's the abuse, especially in
It's abuse,
psychiatry.
yes.
Especially in psychiatry, especially when it comes to lobotomy. And it was kind of, because that was the first that kind of video I made for you, and it was almost scary when her brother was on the table and we had the knitting needle and all that, because it really, you think about this happened to people. This was
That's
done.
gross. That's gross. I hate abuse.
This happened to one of Kennedy's daughters. They did it to one of their daughters. She was ruined for life.
We are being spammed.
Yeah.
We are being spammed. by a guy.
Can you please stop with the spamming? Can you go up? Let's see. Go up a bit. The theme of the documentary asks about what your mom's manner is talking about right now. The book and her story. I'll contact you. My name is Brian Conley. I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
No, but we have a lot of things we can make videos, write books and movies about, and there is a lot to come. And but there's a time for everything. Timing has to be right.
Yes, so I think we have
We have been on air for an hour, and I think we're
Wow.
going to wrap up very soon.
yeah.
It's, as I said, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of music coming from Berit, and there's many videos coming. Keep an eye out next week. I love Will You, because the song is about such an important
Did we
thing.
play a little bit of
A little bit? That's the Norwegian in her.
Har vi spilt en liten bit?
Har vi spilt lite grann?
Ja, se om det var den her. It's this one.
Just
Did you
play a
want-
couple of seconds from the beginning.
Here we go. It's this
You
one.
lay claim to what is rightfully yours. Are you giving up to your fears and thoughts?
Okay, so stop there. So this song, as we're really releasing the video next week, as I said, about really daring to go for it and pursue your dreams and fulfill your potential. So it's very mellow, but then, I think he should stop. I think, Hasa, you should stop, because it is annoying, and we actually have, can you stop? We actually have a lot of questions, and we would like to be kind to everybody, but it's annoying.
This is called freedom of speech. This is how freedom of speech looks like in practice.
Yeah.
It looks like madness.
Yeah.
This is freedom.
Yeah, but we got your message.
We're just gonna keep on talking, you know.
And should we go to, I think, go to 152?
152.
Yeah. It's very interesting when we were recording this song. You always have the challenge when, I guess that it's mainly guitar players who are watching, our songwriters. It's the Berit being so very creative, and Sterling Winfield, the famous Pantera producer, said when he produced your EP Evolution, that you have almost too many ideas, and the thing with you is to be able to strip it down, because it's overwhelming for the listener. And there was a lot of ideas when it came to this song as well. And then we decided that because the voice does some vocal acrobatics, as I call it, that you have to be a really trained singer to do, and it's all live. So we stripped it down at a point, and then the way the guitar comes in, I think it's really beautiful.
Okay, let's listen to it.
Oh, will you? Will you? Oh, will you? Will you?
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna answer this one. Her er en måtte bare ha CD-en din, men vil du fortsette å bruke YouTube og legge ut mer musikk? Ja, vi kommer til å legge ut mer musikk på YouTube, men jeg driver og promoverer da denne e-mail-listen min hele tiden, fordi at social media sites de kommer jo og går, og de har jo nå gjort det så vanskelig å nå folk som følger deg. Så det er mye bedre hvis folk er på e-mail-lista.
You're aware that you're speaking Norwegian now, right?
Yeah, but why shouldn't I speak Norwegian? Rammstein, they have like a translator with them, so they promote the German language. Someone needs to promote the Norwegian language.
No, Rammstein has some good songs.
I love
I like
Rammstein. I love
Rammstein.
Rammstein.
Don't tell anyone.
Let me see. Okay, jeg måtte bare ha scenen din. Yes. We are going to continue to use YouTube, of course.
As long as YouTube
as YouTube exists. That's the thing. You have possibilities to ban her.
Yeah, you do that because
Okay.
you're administrator. How do you do that?
Okay, fine. Yeah, but then you're not being pro freedom
do
of
it,
speech.
do it. Remove.
Hide user.
Yeah, remove. Hide user.
This user's messages will be
Yeah,
hidden.
do that. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Very
You are-
Putin in chief.
yeah.
No, it was hidden by the commander in chief.
Yeah, because thank you for reminding us of that. The
Banned. Don't.
you have to remember that's why they have the administrators. I didn't even remember that. Anyway, so we are going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We played a little bit with you, but everybody was so focused on the person who was spamming us.
You will always get that with
There's
the
some-
internet. You will always get that with the internet. Do you like Norwegian black metal? Yeah, I did actually say my favorite Norwegian black metal is Windir. I always mention them. I always do that.
Nobody has heard about them.
That's not necessarily true. I've heard about them.
Which band? You like more Norwegian metal bands?
Yes. So we did say what we were going to say. There is a link in the description area below. You can get a freebie. So just sign up to my email list and you can get that. And you can also buy the album, the latest album, Bear It Volume 1, by just clicking on the link in the description area below. We were teasing about Bear It Volume 2 and the upcoming music videos that we will be releasing. There will be a new music video released next week. So please keep an eye on my YouTube channel. We were teasing about your book.
No, I wasn't going to talk about that, but since somebody was asking about, talking about making a movie about us, yeah, as I said, the book is being written, and if anyone feels like having a day or a week or whatever holiday on in the Cotswolds, then we are an Airbnb, and there's a link there.
There is a link to the
So you can
Airbnb,
see-
so
and
you
that's
can see
if
it's
you
very
if
nice.
you are one of her patrons or some of the other videos you have seen Barrett in front of this Marvel wallpaper.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's still there. That's in the master bedroom there, chandeliers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the wall of Marvel heroes.
Yes.
So, but it's a very good place. So
So there are at least 2 releases coming this year because as I tried to say, and I say it again, I have written a music industry book or some of my experiences in the music industry. I'm just waiting for your approval and then we will do a pre-order for that one. So we will have a book and another album,
at least one album this year.
at least one album.
And we
It's
hope that
this
we
one.
can do those concerts that are going to be quite spectacular. But it takes a lot of organizing, and you have to have enough energy to pull it off. Because now that you are much better, but you're still a tiny bit to go before you're fully recovered. It's been 3 years, but yeah. For those of you who don't know, Berit was really, 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 really ill and was bedridden for a year and a half or something. So, but that was parasite, so that's not coming back.
And what else? Yes, on the 20th and on the 27th, I'm going to be live streaming on my Patreon, and you can join that for only $3. But you told me today that Patreon are probably going to get sued. So-
Because Patreon has opened themselves up for class action lawsuits from everybody they have blocked for being conservative or whatever they don't like. And so Patreon might be something that disappears quite soon if they get all those lawsuits against them. Let's see what happens. There's always something changing. There will always be something new. There will always be new. Give the heavy metal. Is there more metal from me coming out?
Yes, there are 2 metal albums coming out because I have enough material for 2 new metal albums. It's just, getting the time to do it and the funding to do it and those type of things. Right now we're working on an acoustic album and then we'll have to see what happens.
Which is your main
Right.
guitar? It's the brown Ibanez, is
The
it?
brown one, yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. And Berit's
Lycka till
mamma.
och både albumet Berit.
Well, we use my second name, which is Elizabeth. My first name is Aina, which is I think it's almost Finnish, but it is a Norwegian name as well. So, but most people just pronounce it wrongly, so we're using Elizabeth or Liz. That's what we do. Okay, thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you,
and
everybody.
And thank you for supporting my fantastic daughter. Of course, I think she's the best in the world. And if you don't have Berit Volume 1, you definitely should have it. It has gotten excellent reviews. And it's also the versatility. It's different styles, different kinds of music. It's also a couple of piano songs. Very beautiful. So that's Maria.
News. Oh, that's great.
There was somebody there who played it. Yeah, no, that's so cool.
Well, thank you very much for playing my music, and thank you so much for your support. We appreciate all support from everyone. It's cool to have a global brand. That's what we have. We have people from all over the world who like what we're doing.
Yeah, it's been absolutely all over the world, which I like. I love it every time we hear. And if anyone is in Australia, I don't know if any internet is up and going. It seems like the whole country is on fire. We just hope that everybody over there are safe.
Yeah.
And that the bastards the arsonists who started a lot of those fires rot in jail. That's my personal. I don't know who they are. I just know that there was a lot of arsonists, and it's absolutely horrendous what's been happening over there. Okay.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for your support. Really grateful. And
And on with the